Hello, everyone. Stephen Ruderman here with your Insomniac Lunatic Fringe Giants postgame show, and I just don't know what to say anymore. I thought Tyler Mahle was going to get lit up today, but instead, Casey Schmidt singled in Rafael Devers in the top of the first inning, who had doubled. Looked like the Giants are actually going to have a big inning, but Luis Arias, of all people, grounded into an ending double play. And then Tyler Mahle was really solid on the mound. 5 shutout innings. Um, he had given up just 3 hits. He was looking really good. With 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning, Jonathan Aranda, who has looked like Willie Mays in this series, lined a base hit to center, and then Ryan Velati hit a ground ball to short that looked like was going to be an ending double play, and unfortunately, Willie Adames booted it. Tony Vitello at that point wisely pulled Mahle from the game because something like that's going to really piss a pitcher off and get him rattled. So just get him out of the game, prevent him from completely melting down. Matt Gage came in, struck out Johnny DeLuca swinging, walked Eric Hasse, and then got Cedric Mullins to line out to right field. So the Giants keep their 1-0 lead. Keaton Wynn gives up a hit in a scoreless bottom of the 7th, and then comes the bottom of the 8th. Ryan Walker comes in, and my first thought was, good, at least he's not gonna be the closer today. He's not gonna be pitching the 9th, and Walker is much better when he's not pitching the 9th inning. But as Sam Lubman of 95.7 The Game pointed out, Ryan Walker, well, he's pretty bad on the road. Last season, in the 7th inning or later, he faced 117 batters total. Had a 2.48 ERA, and opponents hit .231 against him. On the road, in the 7th inning or later, he faced 122 batters. He had a 6.39 ERA, and opponents hit .301 against him. And of course, Ben Romero came up with the nickname Ryan Walkoff. So Walker is in for the bottom of the 8th. Good news is he can't give up a walk-off today, but he could certainly blow a save. He walks Junior Caminero to start the inning. Jonathan Aranda, base hit to center. Runners at first and third, nobody out. Ryan Velati lays down a sacrifice bunt to get in Caminero and tie the game. Johnny DeLuca then lays down a sacrifice bunt to move the runners over to second, third. Sacrifice bunts back-to-back, especially. Not something you would expect from Kevin Cash's team. Kevin Cash, the original corporate manager who takes orders from the nerds upstairs. So Ben Williamson's at the plate, runners at second and third, and he hits a line drive right to Matt Chapman at third. He makes the catch, doubles off the runner at third, and it's inning over. Okay, maybe today will be better. We blew the lead, but we survived the bottom of the 8th without falling behind. So the Giants, of course, went down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 9th. In the top of the 9th, Caleb Killian came in the bottom of the 9th, gave up a base hit, but pitched a scoreless inning. So the Giants have the Manfred runner at second, no one out in the top of the 10th, and predictably, they go down 1-2-3. The Giants finally looked like they were going to break through in the top of the first inning, but, well, they couldn't break. They couldn't score another run the rest of the game. Bottom of the 10th, Killian's back out. Walks Junior Caminero intentionally, and then Jonathan Aranda dunks a base hit to right, and the Rays win it 2-1, and so ends the worst road trip ever. 6 games, 6 losses, 9 runs total. Giants were shut out twice, Tuesday and Friday. They scored just 1 run twice. Last night and today, they scored 2 runs in the first game of the doubleheader in Philly on Thursday and scored a whopping 5 runs in the second game of the doubleheader. The Giants had 3 late inning leads. They had the lead in the 9th inning in both games of the doubleheader. They were 2 outs away from winning the first game on Thursday. They were 1 out away from winning the second game. They blew both and lost both. The Giants were 6 outs away from winning today, leading 1-0 in the bottom of the 8th. They blow that. They lose that. And the Giants have now lost 6 in a row to fall to 13-21, and now suddenly it is panic time. I gotta tell you, this team is just totally dead. And you look at the upcoming homestand: Padres, Pirates, and then 4 at Chavez Latrine to play the Dodgers. this is not good. And my nightmare scenario of the Giants being 15-29 on May 14th at the end of the 4-game set at Dodger Stadium may come true. I mean, this team is completely lost. They are still last in baseball in runs, home runs, walks, stolen bases, and on base percentage. And it also doesn't help when you always try and hit home runs when you're not built to hit home runs. That's one of the biggest reasons this offense has been utter garbage through the first month plus of the season. But things need to turn around, and they need to turn around fast, because if they don't, the season's going to be over in 2 to 3 weeks. I'm telling you that right now. This team is absolutely spiraling. And it's not Tony Vitello's fault, but it backs up what I've been telling people for the last several months, which is Buster is rebuilding, and he's not being honest about it. He's doing the rebuild a way a team should, which is he's trying to compete in the meantime, but the overall focus is building the farm as it should be. Gerard Encarnacion got the start today and went 0 for 2. I don't know why this guy was in the lineup. I don't know why Gerard Encarnacion and Christian Koss are still on this team. Why isn't Jesus Rodriguez on this team? By the way, Jesus Rodriguez and Bryce Eldridge were not in the River Cats starting lineup today in Salt Lake City. Maybe they're being called up. I feel like Eldridge still needs another 2 to 4 weeks, but at this point, what have you got to lose? It's a rebuilding season anyway. But let's say the season pretty much is a lost cause 2 to 3 weeks from now. We got to talk about some decisions, and that's trading people like Luis Arias. I think even Logan Webb. The Giants are going to owe it to Webb at that point. One of the best pitchers in the league, and has gotten very little recognition, being stuck on a mediocre Giants team throughout this decade. The Giants will owe it to him to trade him to a winner. It'll be a win-win. For Webb, he gets to go to a winner. For the Giants, they'll get some great prospects in return from him. And, of course, Kyle Foster was mentioning a couple nights ago that Luis Arias will also net the Giants some great prospects. Let's hope it doesn't get to that, because it is May 3rd. The Giants have only played 34 games. They still have 128 of these babies left. I want to salvage the season. I want the Giants to, at the very least, contend, but things are not looking good right now. And as I mentioned, if things do not change quickly, this season is going to be a lost cause. It's as plain and simple as that. Just absolutely brutal, pathetic, lackluster baseball. The Giants, they're just up there swinging from their heels, trying to hit home runs every single pitch, even though they're not built to hit home runs. And of course, that's why, they're losing. That's why they have the worst offense in baseball. They've only hit 19 home runs. They're last in the league in runs. They're last in the league in walks, in a year in which walks have been way up thanks to ABS. They're last in the league in stolen bases. They're last in the league in on base percentage. There is absolutely no excuse for any of this at all. This is unacceptable for a team of this caliber and for a team in this market. Absolutely unacceptable, and this cannot continue. So the Giants are now 13-21. They've got 10 games coming up against the Padres, the Pirates, and the Dodgers. If you think the last week was bad, it's about to get a whole lot worse. And I think there is a good chance that at the end of the series in LA next Thursday, they're going to be something like 15-29. And then, of course, when they're swept by the White Sox 3 weeks from now at home, I'll declare the season over. So, time to make some moves. I would like Eldridge to get a little more seasoning, but they want to call him up now. I'm not sure I'm going to complain that much, because what else have they got to lose at this point? They need to call up Jesus Rodriguez. He's been languishing in AAA far too long. The guy's a great hitter. He's a contact hitter who doesn't strike out much, a lot like Drew Gilbert. There's no reason for Buster to keep him languishing in AAA. Just call him up, and while you're at it, just go ahead and call Eldridge up. Why not at this point? As I've said, with the fact that the Giants are rebuilding, it's going to be the kids who are going to have to come through. So let's take a look at the Giants starters today. Ramos 1 for 4. He's hitting .270. Devers got another hit today. I mentioned he doubled and scored in the top of the first inning. He's hitting .214. Casey Schmidt continues to stay hot. He went 2 for 4. He's hitting .308. Luis Arias is 0 for 4. Gets him down to .308. Matt Chapman, he's continuing to stink up the joint. 0 for 4, hitting 246. Willie Adames got a hit today, going 1 for 4, getting his average up to 195. Jung-Hoo Lee, 0 for 3 today. He's at 281. Gerard Encarnacion, 0 for 2, 176. Drew Gilbert pinch hit and went 0 for 2. He's hitting 271. And Eric Hasse, he got the start for the Giants today as the catcher. He's 1 for 4 and hitting 300 in the very few at-bats he's taken for this team. But the Giants need to call up Jesus Rodriguez and have him start for Patrick Bailey. Patrick Bailey is hitting well under the Mendoza line, and it'll be a miracle if he gets anywhere close to the Mendoza line at any point the rest of the season. Call up Bryce Eldridge, see what they can do. And we got to do something about Ryan Walker, because when you see Ryan Walker pitch, the guy is just flat out scared. He has no confidence in himself. He is scared with a capital scared. He's got good stuff, but he's got a really bad case of Jonathan Sanchez syndrome. For whatever reason, he's much better at home than he is on the road, but just on the road, it's just a disaster. Look, this start is not Tony Vitello's fault, but what I want to know is why he's bringing in Ryan Walker in the 8th inning of what is as close as you can get to a must-win game at the beginning of May. The good news is it looked like he was going to use Eric Miller as the closer, but why not go with Killian in the 8th? And then Miller in the 9th. Doesn't make any sense to me. Ryan Walker cannot be pitching on the road late in close games. And at some point, you might need to DFA someone like him. Just DFA him. I think Eric Miller could be the team's closer going forward. At some point, you might just have to DFA Ryan Walker. Now, as I had been mentioning a couple weeks ago, I wanted to see the Giants call up Tristan Beck and Spencer Bivens. Both got off to good starts at AAA this year. Bivens has since had his ERA balloon to 6.46. Now, granted, it is the Pacific Coast League, and you have a bunch of course fields. I mean, you got Albuquerque, El Paso, Texas. You got Salt Lake City. You got Reno. Oklahoma City is even at it kind of somewhat of a high elevation. You got a bunch of course fields in the Pacific Coast League, and Beck's ERA is now 7.11. Just lovely. The Giants had sent down Blake Tidwell. Why don't you bring him back up? He could be useful in the late innings. And the thing is, the bullpen has not been as bad as I expected. Killian, despite losing the game, it sucks. He didn't give up an earned run. The run he gave up was the Manfred run. His ERA is 0.60. Keaton Wynn's ERA is 2.63. Matt Gage's ERA is 1.29. Eric Miller, of course, we did not see today. His ERA is 3.18. This bullpen has actually been a pleasant surprise outside of Ryan Walker, JT Brubaker, and Ryan Baruki. Now all they need to do is just, I don't know, hit. From Bull Durham, you see the ball, you hit the ball. The problem with the analytics people today is they make this so overly complicated. You see the ball, you hit the ball. Jung-Hoo Lee is someone who's great at spraying the ball to all fields, but for whatever reason, he's been trying to lift ever since they got back from spring training. I've even seen Luis Reyes try to lift at times. I really don't have any idea why. Just consistently hit. Play station to station baseball. Maybe make those adjustments with less than 2 strikes so you don't fall behind in the count early. Be the pests that you were in 2012 and 2014. People say, it doesn't work against flame-throwing pitching, which that argument makes no sense. People say, well, with the flame-throwing pitching, you're just going to hit weak ground balls. Listen to Mike Krukow. He'll tell you that power creates power, and the more power, faster a pitcher throws, the more power you're going to have. The more power you're going to have coming off the bat. I wanted Bryce Eldridge to wait 2 to 4 weeks, but at this point, screw it. Call him up. See what he can do. As I said, if this team's going to contend, and if by some miracle they actually go to the playoffs, the kids are going to have to play a big role. So why not Bring up Bryce Eldridge, see what he can do. And Jesus Rodriguez should absolutely be starting over Patrick Bailey and Matt Chapman. Now let's talk about Matt Chapman. Chapman just looks lost and out of it. And I didn't have a problem when he was, yelling at Casey Schmidt about a month ago in San Diego to catch the ball at first base. But Chapman just seems a lot less interested and a lot less happy than he was over the last 2 years. And I can't help but think this has to do with Melvin being gone. He was a Melvin loyalist. Matt Chapman loved Bob Melvin. Very understandably so. Bob Melvin, great manager back in the day. But I emphasize back in the day, Bob Melvin had managed 21 of the last 23 years, or 22 of the last 23 years. No, 21 of the last 23 years. He was burned out, needed some time off. Bruce Bochy needed 3 years off. He came back and won another title. And I hope Bob Melvin gets a chance elsewhere at some point. I think he will, and I think he could be a great manager again. He just needed some time off. But I think Chapman, to be honest, with Bob not being there, let's be honest, he made it clear he came to San Francisco specifically to play for Bob Melvin. He's a guy who I wanted to trade Matt Chapman over the offseason. Even if the Giants are in contention, trade Chapman. And Jesus Rodriguez should absolutely be in the lineup over Matt Chapman and should, oh my God, be in the lineup over Patrick Bailey. As I said, if Patrick Bailey gets anywhere close to the Mendoza line at any point the rest of the season, it will be a miracle. So Eldridge and Jesus Rodriguez were not in the starting lineup for the River Cats today. And hopefully, maybe the Giants will call them up because they certainly need it. So Giants and Padres, 6:45 tomorrow night. Giants will be back home. Maybe going back home will be just what the Giants need. Being in front of the home fans. Hey, their last homestand, they took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers of all teams. But what just sucks about this is the Giants had lost 4 straight. They fell to 6-12 after the loss on April 15th in Cincinnati. And then after the getaway game in Cincinnati on April 16th and Eric Miller yelling a bunch of F-bombs at Sal Stewart after completing the save, it really seemed like this team had gotten its act together. They won 7 out of 10. They won last Sunday after Casey Schmidt hit what proved to be a game-winning home run in the bottom of the 7th inning. And then they just ran into a brick wall this week. I don't know if it is officially the worst road trip ever. The Giants have had some 0-6 road trips in the past. In 2015, they went 0-6 through Miami and Washington from June 30th through July 5th in 2009. Their first road trip that year, they went 0-6 through San Diego and LA, April 10th through 16th. And both of those seasons were winning seasons, so you never know. Now, the Giants are going to call up Trevor McDonald to make the start tomorrow. He pitched in 1 game for the Giants in 24 and 3 games for the Giants last year. The 3 games last year, he started 2 of them. 15 innings, 13 hits, walked just 2, struck out 14, a 1.8 and had a 1.80 ERA. Opponents hit just 228 against him. Maybe Trevor McDonald can have a big outing for the Giants tomorrow night. We'll see. But this team has got to turn things around, and they got to turn things around fast. Because as I said, and I'll keep saying, if they don't, 2-3 weeks from now, the season's going to be a lost cause. All right, this has been a production of Sports Radio Service for my boss Lee Leonard. I'm Stephen Rudman. Hope you enjoyed my show tonight. Giants lose in brutal and humiliating fashion, 2-1. Take care, folks. I'll talk to you soon.